Book of Heaven, Volume 15, July 11, 1923. The greater the work God wants to do, the more necessary it is that the creature he chooses be unique and singular. The Paternal Goodness wants to open another era of grace. I was praying and abandoning all of myself in the arms of my most sweet Jesus, but with a thought in my mind that was saying, only for you this martyrdom of causing bother to others, of being a burden to your ministers, as I cannot do without letting them meddle in my business, the things that pass between me and Jesus. Others are free. They enter a state of suffering, and on their own, they free themselves. Yet, how many times I prayed him to free me, but in vain. Now, while I was thinking of this and other things, blessed Jesus came, all goodness and love, and placing himself near me, told me,
"My daughter, the greater the work I want to do, the more necessary it is that the creature I choose be unique and singular. The work of redemption was the greatest, and I chose only one creature, endowing her with all gifts, never conceded to anyone, so that this creature might contain so much grace as to be able to become my mother, and so that I might deposit in her all the goods of redemption. And in order to keep my own gifts safe, from the moment she was conceived until she conceived me, I kept her overshadowed within the light of the most holy Trinity, which became her custodian, and held the office of directing her in everything. Then, when I was conceived in her virginal womb, I being the true priest and the head and the first of all priests, I myself took on the charge of keeping her and directing her in everything, even in the motion of her heartbeat. And when I died, I entrusted her to another priest, who was St. John, a soul so privileged, who contained all graces, unique in the divine mind, unique in history. I did not want to leave her without the assistance of a representative of mine up to her last breath. Have I perhaps done this with other souls? No, because they did not contain so much good, so many gifts and graces, and therefore so much custody and assistance was not necessary. Now, my daughter, you too are unique in my mind, and will also be unique in history, and there will not be, either before or after you, another creature for whom I will dispose, as though forced by necessity, the assistance of my ministers. Having chosen you in order to deposit in you the sanctity, the goods, the effects, the attitude of my supreme will, it was appropriate, just, decorous, for the very sanctity that my will contains, that a minister of mine should assist you and be the first depository of the goods which my will contains, so as to let them pass from his lap into the whole body of the Church. What great attention is required of you and of them, of you, in receiving from me, like a second mother to me, the great gift of my will, and in knowing all its qualities, of them by receiving them from you, so that the fiat voluntas tua on earth as it is in heaven may be fulfilled in my Church. Ah, you do not know how much I had to give you in order to dispose your capacity, so that I might deposit my will in you. I removed from you any seed of corruption. I purified your soul, your very nature, in such a way that neither do you feel anything for them, nor do they for you, because since the seed is missing, it is as if fire were missing to firewood. And even though I did not exempt you from original sin, as I did with my dear mother, by removing from you the seed of corruption, I worked another prodigy of grace, never conceded to anyone else, because it was not decorous for my will, thrice holy, to descend into and take possession of a soul which would be shaded, even slightly, by the slightest corrupted breath. My will would not have adapted itself to taking possession of her, to communicating its attitude to her, had it seen any seed of corruption in her, just as I, Word of the Father, would not have adapted myself to being conceived in the womb of the celestial Mama, had I not exempted her from original sin. And then, how many graces have I not given you? You think it is nothing, and therefore you give it no thought, and instead of thanking me, you occupy yourself with thinking about what I have disposed for you and for those whom I have placed around you, while I want you to only follow my will. You must know that this fulfillment of my will is so great as to be numbered among the greatest works which the divinity has operated, and I want it to be known, so that in knowing its greatness and the immense goods it contains, they may love it, esteem it, and desire it. 3 times did the Supreme Divinity decide to operate ad extra. The first was in creation, and it was without the intervention of the creature, since none of them had yet come out to the light of the day. The second was in redemption, and with it intervened a woman, the holiest, the most beautiful, my celestial Mama. She was the channel and the instrument I used in order to fulfill the work of redemption. The third is the fulfillment of my will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. That is, for the creature to live and operate with the sanctity and the power of our will, a work inseparable from creation and redemption, just as the sacrosanct Trinity is inseparable. Nor can we say that the work of creation has been completed by us, if our will, as it was decreed by us, does not act in the creature and live with that freedom, sanctity, and power with which it operates and lives in us. Even more, this is the most beautiful point, the highest, the brightest, and the seal of the fulfillment of the work of creation and redemption. These are divine decrees, and they must have full completion. And in order to fulfill this decree, we want to make use of another woman, and that is you. The woman was the incitement, the cause for which man fell into his misfortunes, and we want to make use of the woman to put things in order, to let man out of his misfortunes and give back to him decorum, honor, our true likeness, just as he was created by us. Therefore, be attentive and do not take things lightly. This is not about just anything. This is about divine decrees and about giving us the field to let us accomplish the work of creation and redemption. Therefore, just as we entrusted our Mama to St. John, that she might deposit in him and from him into the church the treasures, the graces, and all of my teachings which I had deposited in her during the course of my life, when she was entrusted to me, and I acted as priest to her, as I deposited in her, as in a sanctuary, all the laws, the precepts, and the doctrines which the church was to possess. And she, faithful as she was, and jealous of even one word of mine, deposited them in my faithful disciple John, so that they might not be lost. And therefore my Mama has primacy over the whole church. So I have done with you. Since the fiat voluntas tua must serve the whole church, I entrusted you to a minister of mine, that you may deposit in him everything I manifest to you about my will, the goods contained in it, how the creature must enter into it, and how the paternal goodness wants to open another era of grace, placing his goods, which he possesses in heaven, in common with the creature, and giving back to her the lost happiness. Therefore be attentive and be faithful to me.
Thank you for being a part of our community here at Divine Will app. If you enjoy listening to Jesus' lessons on how to live in the divine will, please give this video a thumbs up. Your likes help us reach more souls yearning to live in the kingdom of the divine will. We'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections, so drop a comment below. Your insights not only enrich our community, but also inspire others on their spiritual journey. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. By joining us, you're helping to spread the news of the kingdom of the divine will, so that together we can bring his kingdom to reign on earth as it is in heaven. In the divine will, always.